I'm Nick Grandchamp.
And how old are you?
I'm 33.
Wow.
Yeah, 33.
Just a puppy. You're in how many bands right now?
I'm in three. I'm in three bands right now.
What are their names?
I'm in the River City Rebels, which is like my main band. I'm in a band called the People Watchers, which is like kind of music that I just write. And then I'm in a hardcore band called Bonsai.
Cool. And how many bands have you been in total in your life?
Oh my god! Well, I literally can't even count. Probably at least 10 or more since like 2002.
Wow.
Yeah. Before I was in high school, so yeah. Probably up to 10. I have not played in a band since I was 15. I've like always been in a band. I'm 33. Like so yeah.
So what do you play?
Guitar. Yeah, pretty much all my bands I played in guitar. I've played bass in a couple bands, but like guitar is pretty much what I play. Yeah.
Nice. So how did you start getting into music?
Good question. So growing up in a small town, um, trying to find myself, seventh, eighth grade. I loved baseball, and I loved sports, but I wasn't very good at them. I played, and I was always like, yeah, this is really cool, but this isn't me. And I remember taking the bus, in about seventh grade, and there was a couple of older kids. And back then, everyone had their like portable CD players were huge. Even cassette players, even too. And there was a couple older kids, like on the bus and around the schoolyard. One named Johnny, I will mention, gave me a bunch of music one day. He kind of saw that I was like, kind of like trying to find who I was, but also like kind of not hanging around with the jocks, kind of not hanging out with the crowd. I just kind of was like trying to figure it out. And he's like, I think you might like these. And he gave me a bunch of CDs, and I was hooked. I think Bad Religion, Guttermouth was one, No Effects, Pennywise, and he was a skateboarder and he was older than me, so it was like, whoa, okay, this is sick. So that's like how I got into punk, and then through him and a couple other older friends, I started going to shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh, so you were a teenager when you first kind of.
Yeah. About seventh, eighth grade is when I really started getting into it. Like the end of seventh grade, eighth grade going in, it was like eighth grade. I was pretty much hooked. I was starting to realize that like there was this scene, especially around me, that was going on that was like big back in the day. Like we had a lot of shows, Dana Rec Center, the skate park, a lot of places, and I was realizing that it was like this huge thing that I was becoming a part of, which was beautiful.
Nice. And so these are the same shows that you started performing at.
Well, pretty much, yeah. So, when I went to one of my first shows with some of the older kids, I was just getting into high school, and some of these kids that I were hanging out with were like already junior seniors. And they were playing in bands. They had already learned how to play instruments. And that was like huge. They were like a huge I was inspired by them, inspiration. And so I would go to their shows, and immediately, like my first show I went to down Ludlow at this place called Rampage, is not around anymore. I saw all these bands, and there were so many people. Like, you got to think, this is like kind of before social media. This is like right before it got big. This is like 2001, 2000, probably 2000, 2001 when I first started going to shows. 9/11 and stuff, like there was so many people, and people socialized at shows. So like seeing these bands play down there was just like groundbreaking for me. I knew immediately, like when I saw that show, that's what I wanted to do. I mean, people were grabbing the mic, going crazy. It was scary, it was violent, it was beautiful. It was just like, it was really just like that moment in my life I'll never forget, where I'm like this is what I'm here to do. Down there was just like groundbreaking for me. I knew immediately, like when I saw that show, that's what I wanted to do. I mean, people were grabbing the mic, going crazy. It was scary, it was violent, it was beautiful. It was just like, it was really just like that moment in my life I'll never forget, where I'm like this is what I'm here to do. Like punk rock music. And it's crazy that I just haven't stopped.
What are you currently working on, music wise?
So I'm always constantly writing. I'm always constantly playing guitar. So Dan and I are always kind of like shooting ideas back for Rebel stuff. We're waiting for this pandemic to stop so we can really get back together, safely, and start to play shows again. Start to go in the studio again. Um, it's really hard. I think every band right now, the last year and months, have really tried to struggle what they can do.
With the prepping for shows, um, is there anything in particular that goes with that you?
Just making sure you're tight, like practicing as much as you can. Like we've all been doing it for such a long time that, like, usually, from the start it's not so bad, but you still have to practice. You still want to like put on a good performance when you're out there. Like I think that's one thing with punk people kind of assume they're just going out there and do it. It still takes, a sense of, ability and, time to become a tight band. Like the Ramones played three chords, but they were tight as fuck. To do that.
Um, if you could talk to future punk rockers, what advice would you give them?
Um, it's a good question. I think my biggest advice is to always do whatever you do, music or anything, but definitely future punk rockers, do it from the heart, because people aren't going to believe it if it's not. Do whatever you want to do in life because you want to do it, not because, that you think it's a trend, or you think, like it's going to get you somewhere. Do it because you want to. And I think that's kind of like why I'm still doing it at this age, and as everyone kind of had kids and moved on, which isn't bad. I just always believed. I always just such a huge part of my life, and my being, and my soul. Like it's just gonna be with me forever. So it's do it because you believe, not because of someone else.
Yeah.